different. Anybody that's been in the industry or in business for 30 or 40 years knows that there's a recession comes around sort of fairly regularly, but this has just been very different. It's the first time we've all been off work for any length of time in probably 50 years. So there's so much that's different. And it's not like an economic recession, which the last one was back in 2007, 8, 9. It's now affecting people at home first, and then the economy is going to be affected later. So that's quite weird. You know, it's what's coming next. We're not quite sure. We know that there's going to be some people who will be out of work, but hopefully there'll be enough get up and go, and you know, business will get back to something like normal. Yes, there are. I mean, it's again, I suppose, with the benefit of a bit of experience, you realise that some of the things that you did in the past were probably short term, maybe a bit knee jerk. Maybe you reacted too quickly to something. Experience tells you just to stick to what you know, stick to the principles of your business, and basically just follow your themes. And with Barwood, you know, we've had constant themes for the last 2 or 3 years, and we're not going to change those, and nothing seems to suggest we should. So yeah, keep going. Okay, so this one this time is quite hard. When it's an economic recession, there are lots of economic data and sort of material you can draw on. This one, you're looking more at sort of a broader picture. Sort of consumer spending is probably a good one. Purchasing Managers Index, the PMI as it's known as, is really important because it's a confidence index. And as confidence starts to rebuild, people going back to work, businesses getting going again, those are the sort of indicators that will drive appetite for people wanting to invest in property. And in particular, sort of having the, you know, the business follow up to do more development. I think this depends on who you talk to. There are a lot of property leaders at the moment who are just fighting fires. And the obvious example is those big property companies that have got big rents to collect. And they spent all their time over the last 3 months making sure the tenants are paying their rents. They haven't really been able to think about anything else. And then there's those companies, perhaps developers, perhaps younger property companies, perhaps international investors, who've been much more fleet of foot, probably don't have those responsibilities, it has to be said, and are looking forward. And those are the guys who are now saying, we know now that the market's changed. We know now that e-commerce is not only here to stay, which is probably how we were thinking of before, but actually is going to take over a lot of different walks of life. So we're going to see a lot of change now coming, accelerated change. Change was already in phase, but and in train, but actually now coming through faster. Well, these are fairly straightforward, and a lot of people now have got used to working at home, so they've adopted a lot of the things that people have been talking about. But I think 2 or 3 things I just mentioned. One is having a routine of some sort, particularly between the weekday, Monday to Friday, and the weekend. And of course, with email and other forms of communication and Zoom and everything else, it's very easy just to think Saturday and Sundays as just another day. So actually having some sort of a strategy for separating the two out is very important. Leading on from that, the most important thing after that, I think, is exercise. I think that exercise keeps people healthy, fit, active, and if you're doing a bit of exercise every day, you will keep the brain stimulated. So having a plan and not just allowing yourself to wallow in sort of one day to the next strategy. Yeah, well, in a way, it's a bit of what I've just been mentioning, but the other things are actually having a project. So, you go about the day-to-day life, and maybe your work has been based at home, but the chances are you're not working in quite the same way. So you've probably got a bit of time, and you've probably got something that's been niggling away. Actually, I really like to do that. So having a project, maybe it could be gardening, maybe it could be walking the dog, maybe it could be something else. Doesn't matter. I think having that time, if you like, to develop ideas, which could be business related as well, is very valuable. So a project. I was asked this question about 10 years ago, and I had to, at the time, I thought, well, I'm not sure what I would say. Now I know exactly what I would say. When you've set a course in your life, stick to it. And if you're not happy with the outcomes, move on. So it's really important not to take second best. Always strive for the best you can do. And that means finding the right job, the right things to do in life, work which you're passionate about. So I would say, don't take second best for anything. It's first best is best.